Hello everyone. So this is the second episode of our Crow acrylic painting journey, and this is going to be so transformational. Last night I did my first live on Patreon and it was such a beautiful experience. Thank you for everyone that tuned in. It is so nice to have spent some time with you guys and to get to know the crow a little better and to understand why we are going to paint the crow at this particular point in time. Right, so today I'm just going to run through all of the supplies that we are going to be needing to paint this painting in acrylic paint. Now this is what I'm going to use, but you can use anything you want, anything that you have already, it will be all fine. So please don't go out and spend lots of money on art supplies, because most of these colors can be mixed, or if it's a similar hue, you'll be fine. But you can also feel free to make this painting your own. This is a painting journey. We do try to sort of up our brush mileage throughout this process, but beyond this particular painting journey is not so much about the end product as it is about the process. I know that's a radical mind shift. Some of you have been working with me for years and you understand where this is coming from, but some of you might be new to my channel and new to this whole experience, and you might not have experience in acrylic paint at all. If that's the case, do check out my channel. There is previous painting journeys, and also on my YouTube channel, just go down to some of my older playlists. There are plenty of demonstration videos that I do for beginners as we get into working with acrylic paint and sort of learning how to layer it. So you can definitely check out the Owl Wisdom and the No Mud No Lotus workshop. Just off the top of my head, those two I think of a few years back are all beginner friendly, so maybe start there if you have no idea where to start. But I do try to sort of help as I go with what we are doing today. Right, so first and foremost, the reference material. Just check on our feed here on Patreon. I did share this beautiful crow image as a PDF. So just click on the crow image, and on the right top hand you'll see the hamburger, the three little dots, for those who don't know what the hamburger is. Click on that and then click on download, and this image will download to your phone or to your computer. Then just print it out. Now I'm going to be painting this on an A4 size. That's a personal choice. It's just easier for me to do this on the table so that you can see all of the brush marks and color mixes and the entire process. The minute I have to go stand at a canvas, then the camera's behind my back and you might miss some things. So I prefer to do tutorials on the table. But if you want to do it on an easel, at a canvas, please be my guest. Be comfortable in your body and in the way that you approach the canvas, because this is beautiful and powerful spiritual work that we're going to be doing at the canvas. Now, why do I say that? Okay, number one, we basically use the canvas as a metaphor for our lives. I want you to really plug into this idea. So it's not so much about technique, it's not so much about a fine art class. This is inward work. This is work that we do from the inside out, but it is represented somatically at the canvas with paint and with brush. And this is the thing that I've learned over the years with this work. The canvas doesn't lie. During the process, your whole experience with the canvas is going to be a very much one-on-one experience. I'm just going to be your guide. I'm just going to be the portal. I'm going to direct the show. But You are the participant and you are going to experience your own beautiful journey. So I always say to my participants, have an art journal or a journal at hand with pen and paper so that you can make notes of your process, your experience, your thoughts, ideas that come up, feelings that come up, memories that resurface, dreams that show up in your life. All of this is going to form part, a container of this experience. And the minute you said yes to this journey, you have already synchronistically aligned yourself with the vibration of the crow as your spirit guide, and it is seeking an opportunity to share with you, to commune with you, and to give you some insight into your life that is really amazing. I just want to move up closer to my table. Right. So it's a nice hot summer day here in South Africa, in Pretoria, where I reside, and the aircon is on, and we are going to get into this painting. Right. So at the canvas, anything that comes up for you, even thoughts like, oh, that's a wonky line, mine doesn't look like his, why am I struggling? I don't like my painting, it doesn't look like Gideon's. Those are all the type of things that's going to come up for you during this painting journey. Here's the thing, you are not a Minolta copy machine. You are a human being with your own hand style, your own painting style, your own impressions and ideas and understanding of the world around you. But the canvas is going to be your window into your soul. So be open to the journey. And when that critical voice arises within you that says, I can't do this, I'm struggling, it's not pretty, those are the things you must take note of. Because it's these little voices that is running your life. Let that sink in for a minute. Everything that you tackle in life has a narrative, either in your brain or in your being, that is telling you what is right, what is wrong, what is good, what is acceptable. But most of it has been programmed into your life through your education as you were raised as a child. Our role and responsibility as an adult is to revisit all of these programming blocks that we've gone through, from baby to preschool to primary school to high school to university and life and beyond. Did you know that most of what you learn in school is all based in behavior psychology? That is where we learn how to behave in society. That is where we learn to communicate with our neighbors and our fellow man around us. But unfortunately, it's become such a rigid structure that forces people in school to sort of think in the same way, or we are coached to sort of reason in the same way. And then we also grow up in a political landscape, so the government under which you reside will also have an influence in what you are taught in school. And then when you become an adult, at some stage, if you don't research and really look into your internal being and question everything that you've been told, everything that you've been, that you've learned, that you've read, that you've heard, and what you believe, if we don't question it and we don't investigate it and really, really look to see if it serves you and your life and your destiny and your purpose, then it can just put you on that hamster wheel in life where you are taught to just go to school, get an education, get a job, get a husband or a wife or a partner, make some babies, have a life, grow old, and then you die. And then we call that life. I know that's very oversimplified, but if it works for you, then I'm very happy for you. But I don't believe that that is what life was meant to be. That is all just human evolution and ideas and information, and we have formed a matrix, a world that we reside in, that is completely artificial, completely disconnected from organic life. And I'm not against technology. I mean, I love technology. Here we are using technology to communicate and to educate and to grow and to learn and to explore. So don't get me wrong. I do believe that lots of energies in the world is very neutral. Money, technology, magic, it's all neutral. It's what we do with it. And this is where I want to make that connection for you. If you are just living your life on autopilot and do what everyone else is doing because everyone else is doing it, then it's not really the true or the full potential that resides within you. We all want to self-actualize, but I do realize from a psychological training point of view that there's a foundation that we need first. We need shelter, we need food, we need clothing, we need safety and stability in that foundation in order to step up to the next level. But unfortunately, the world and the matrix that we've created is designed to keep people at a lower tier, because not everybody in this world gets an opportunity to self-actualize and get to a point where you connect with your life purpose and you are able to bring forth your gifts and make an impact on the world. I don't know why we are so afraid of it. I think the 1% at the top of this pyramid realized if every single human being on this planet can self-actualize, then they will not have the power and the luxury of living in the lives that they do. And I didn't design the system, but I woke up in the system, and I do realize that maybe karmically we are placed at a particular tier, and it is our sort of drive to break through the limitations of each of these tiers to the point where we are able to self-actualize and to become a powerful voice and presence in our world, and to make an impact for the betterment of all. This is the whole idea. I think when our personal goals and dreams is just selfish, it's just focused on me, our power in the world is limited. The minute when we begin to think, okay, how can I benefit everyone else around me? You get elevated, you get more power, you get more opportunity, you get more open doors, because we are supposed to help each other. We are a family, we are a unit, planet Earth, a biosphere, contained for a reason. We are citizens of the world, I honestly believe. And we are all brothers and sisters, and we all have a lineage dating back to ancient times. And we are only now beginning to break through barriers of, what is the word I'm looking for? Borders and maps that show you that there's a line that separates this part of the continent with that part of the continent. These people are your enemy and we are standing united against them. Can you see this whole ridiculous dualistic competition that is fed to us from a very early age? Yes, I know there's this whole idea that only the strong survive, the fittest survive. We see that in nature to a certain degree, but I really believe that we can come to a place where we start to elevate everything and everyone around us when we recognize ourselves in each other. And I really want to encourage you to recognize the beauty in just rising above this dualistic line that is drawn in the sand. It's all imaginary, it's not real, but we buy into it because we are told to buy into it. Anyway, that's just a little bit of my philosophy. But I really do believe through my own experience, my life began to change when I started to take responsibility for my own life. When I stopped blaming my parents for the trauma that they've caused me. When I stopped blaming the bullies at school for the trauma that they've caused me. When I stopped blaming the government for the circumstances that I'm forced to live in. And the minute I took all of that power back to myself and realized it doesn't matter. Nobody goes through life without pain. Nobody goes through life without trauma. This is life. Life equals suffering, unfortunately. But it doesn't have to stay like that. The minute when you shift your thinking from I am a victim to I can use whatever life is throwing at me as a stepping stone to rise above it, to make it my own, and to say yes, even my suffering can have meaning and purpose. That is profound. So yes, it's not always pretty, it's not always beautiful, plans don't always work out, we don't always get treated the way we believe that we should get treated, and we don't always get the opportunities that we believe we should have. And it's easy to look around you and say, you know, they have more, they have it easier, they have it more comfortable, but that's not necessarily always the case. So when we set intention during this painting journey, like we did yesterday in our live, and you haven't seen the live, check it out, it's on the feed. There were some beautiful moments there, so do watch that video. And also please share in a comment below where you watch it from. Say hi, please don't be shy. And if you have any questions, please drop it beneath each video during this course. Even if it's just a thank you, this was interesting, or you know, can you explain this to me, or whatever you want to share with us. That just makes it community immediately, and then people that follow behind you that is coming into this course also has that as a resource. Your question is usually a question that somebody else also has, so please don't be shy to share in the comment section of these videos. I would love to get to know you and share with you in a more personal manner. Right. So during this painting journey, we're going to explore a lot of shadow work. I'm going to be sharing some questions with you that I want you to sit with and journal between your sections. Maybe with each painting session, at the end of it, look at the question that I'm sharing and journal about it, and just see what comes up for you. Some questions you'll go, nah, I've dealt with this before. I'm, you know, pretty much clear on that. And you know, I always say, remember, life works as spiral, not as a circle. So when something comes back to you, it's another level of experience of the same information. So don't just dismiss something as, oh, I've looked at a question like this before. Research it now and compare it to then and see how you've grown, right? So journal around that. And this is part of the inward work that we'll be doing at the canvas. Okay, so hopefully that's a little bit clearer, and I've given you some food for thought. Right, so now you know where to get your image, you know you can print it out, and you can get your canvas and brushes ready. But before we go on, I never lit the light of flame of hope and creativity. So let's go ahead and do just that. There we go. Now that we have some light of creativity and hope, may all beings benefit. Right. Let me just move my thinking cap here. So I'm going to quickly run through all of the paint that I am going to be using. And I will also form a list of this in the description of this video. So always check out the description of each video. There might be new information there. I usually do try to say what we will cover in this episode. And if I've used something that I didn't declare in this episode, I will add it to that episode. Sometimes in the moment I realize I need a different tool, or I need a different color to make my life easy, and I didn't think about that earlier in the journey. So this is just my basic kit that I'm going to be using to paint the crow. So if we look at the crow and we analyze this picture, we can see a full spectrum of color here. I see some grays, I see some white, I see some blue, I see some teal green, I see some sappy moss green. There's also a light blue. There's so much color, even in the skull. It's not just a white bone. And then the crow itself is filled with so much color. It's actually a very colorful picture. And the color stands out more because of all the neutral, muted tones that is all around it. So this is what I have selected for this painting. First and foremost, I'm gonna say we need titanium white. Titanium white is gonna be your color that you make lighter mixtures with, and it really is a very essential color. So if you don't have titanium white, this is definitely one of the colors that I think you should invest in. Then I also have a zinc mixing white. What's the difference between titanium white and zinc mixing white? Titanium white is full opacity. It gives full coverage and it is potent. Zinc or mixing white, also called Chinese white, is translucent, so it's not as opaque. So it's an excellent white to use to do sort of translucent mixtures that's not so white. So a little bit more see-through, okay? And then I also have buff titanium. So it is a beige color. Think of it as titanium white, but in a buff way. So it really is like a beige color, but it has full opacity, and we're going to use that to paint the skull. Okay. Moving on, then I have here iron oxide black. You can use any black that you've got, because this is quite a dark scene, and we will definitely need the potency of a black in titanium. Black in titanium. A black in acrylic paint is what I meant to say. Then I also have Prussian blue. Prussian blue is beautiful, deep. Think of navy blue, but translucent. So a Prussian blue, because there's a lot of blue in this picture. I chose Prussian blue and not phthalo blue for a reason. Prussian blue is a little bit deeper for me. Phthalo blue is a little bit bright, and but if you only have phthalo blue, you can always add just a little bit of black to your phthalo blue, and that should give you a little bit of a Prussian blue. Okay. I also have here Payne's Grey. If you've been painting with me, you know that this is one of my favorites. It's a translucent blue-based grey that is really wonderful for creating washes when you don't need black and you just want something deep and grey. This is going to be part of that journey. Right. Then I also have here Floral Coral. Now I know this is brand specific and you might not have access to Iris Prime Art Floral Coral, but really this is just a very, very bright pigment, and the pigment code that I have here is EN71/3. And really what this is, you can also look at maybe a neon orange or a coral, floral, what is the other word, a neon kind of coral, that kind of thing. It is quite a bright color, as you can see, but we have some beautiful coral moments on the wing there. So if you don't have this, you can always use orange with a bit of magenta, and see how you can punch that up maybe with a bit of white just to give it a little bit more vibrancy. So see what you can have. It's not the end of the world if you don't have this, but I do love that color. Then we have magenta. We really need this magenta for all of the pink tones in this painting. And then I have here a Naples yellow. Now Naples yellow, there is a variety of Naples yellow in the world. And the one that I'm going to be using, think of it more like a plaster kind of yellow. Plaster meaning a band-aid. So that kind of yellow, let me bring this closer to the camera. It's not the green one, it's definitely the more yellow one, Naples yellow. And this is a beautiful kind of yellow to use in these mixes because it's not too vibrant. I do have cadmium yellow here, but you can see how bright that is, and we might need that with some of the greens, but not by itself. So cadmium yellow I've got here, and Naples yellow, the yellow one. Okay. Right, now we're going to the cooler colors. I've got here sap green, because we're gonna mix some beautiful lighter greens there and on the skull. And then I have turquoise, but of course, a lot of detail on the wings with turquoise. Definitely one that we're going to be using. I've got here permanent violet or dioxazine purple, violet. Any of those purples or violets will do well because there's lots of violets in the crow as well. Then I have here cerulean blue. You can use phthalo blue. Like I say, it's a little bit more intense. Let me just see, this is also translucent. So I thought cerulean blue is a nice sort of vibrant, pretty blue. And I got this as a gift and I want to use it. So it's really a pretty blue that I think is going to go very nicely. But you can use any intense blue that you have. I'm just putting everything in a little box next to me. And then I have here for the skull as well as the crow's feet. I have here burnt umber, and we're going to use this with that buff titanium in order to paint the crow's feet. And then I've got two specialty colors here that can be mixed with like the green, the mint. Okay, the mint you can use turquoise, and this Arctic blue you can use the cerulean blue and titanium white. And for the mint you can use the turquoise. Where did I throw it now? The turquoise with Naples yellow, and that will give you a mint. So you don't have to go buy these two colors, but I do have them because I use them a lot. So I've got here Arctic blue, which is this light blue that we see throughout the painting. So we're not going to be using white for that, but you might use white as a mixing color. And here at the bottom we see a lot of this minty color, and in the skull as well. So mint, which is definitely a little bit more towards the green side. Then I've got my reference material, and I've got my painting pad for acrylic paint, and I've also already pre-taped the areas off on the side, simply because my reference material has some white on the side, and I want a nice crisp edge just for framing in the future. And I've used my beautiful washi tape. Isn't it pretty? I'll zoom in with the camera and show you guys the magical washi tape on the sides, right? And then I've got painting palette paper. This is just those wax papers that you can dispense your paint on to make your mixes. I also have here my wet palette, which is homemade, but you can, if you do have one, you can use it, or you can invest in a wet palette if you want to. That can be a bit pricey. So this is my version of a wet palette. You just need a Tupperware container that's not too deep, because it gets difficult to get in there, with a lid, and you just use your tissue paper that you can mist with your water mister, so it's something that you will need. And then you can place or cut one of these papers to put on top, and then you can dispense your paint in there, and then when you have to go somewhere or your session is finished, you can just close your lid and your acrylic paint will stay fresh for weeks, well, for days, okay? It might get a little bit jammy over time, but the point is, between a morning session, for example, and an afternoon session, you don't have to waste paint. You can use your wet palette for that. So this is what I'm going to be using, and then I've just got my 2 buckets of water, one for clean water, one for rinsing out a dirty brush. So you'll always hear me sloshing away in these buckets. And then I've just got a whole array of brushes. I don't like to tell people you must use this brush or you must use that brush. I've got flat brushes, I've got round brushes, I've got fan brushes, I've got blending brushes. I even have a specialty brush with very fine filaments, but you know, if you have an angle brush and a round brush and a filbert or whatever, you should do just fine. So you don't need specialty brushes for this painting. You can literally use whatever you are comfortable with and that you enjoy painting with. And if you have only a starter kit for acrylic paint, that is also great. You will be just fine. Okay, so I've done plenty of classes with student grade entry-level brushes, and they all arrived at a beautiful place in their painting. Like I said before, it is more about the experience and the journey and the process and the learning than it is about the end result, okay? So constantly remind yourself of that. Now this is, I think, the difference for me with acrylic paint and with watercolor. With watercolor, I really enjoy that detail and precision because watercolor for me is just easy in that way. But with acrylic paint, it's more expressive, it's more painterly, it's looser, and I want you just to plug in on that for this journey. Now, welcome to the Transfiguration tier. I wanted to show this off in the other videos, but these keys are so small that you might not even see them on my table. But I did want to just bring this up because in this Transfiguration tier, and why I chose the key as our symbol, it is all about recognizing how you can use one thing like a life experience that's maybe hindering you or traumatizing you or that you feel you are a victim to, and really look at that and do the healing work, do the forgiveness work. And I'm specifically talking about self-forgiveness, self-acceptance, accepting your role and responsibilities in the circumstances, because you can't necessarily deal with other people and their role and their responsibilities. It's not always possible to bring them to account for what they've done, but you can process the entire experience within yourself through journaling, through professional help. Do whatever you need to do in order to no longer be the victim of the circumstances. It's all about the way that you see yourself. So this is what the keys represent. The key represent that it is a doorway to self-empowerment, to healing, to claiming your power back. And even if it is to come to a point where you say never again, because you are now whole and strong and empowered and will never again allow something like whatever you've gone through to happen again. And sometimes it's not even that, because we can't control events in life. So it really boils down to connecting with your own personal resilience, and that is what this entire painting journey is all about. So that is transfiguration. Going from victim to victor is a whole transformational journey, right? So this is the key to your own inner kingdom. So hopefully this first video was a nice introduction to see what colors you will need. I mean, obviously we're going to use maybe some pencils, erasers. We might even use a little bit of whiteboard chalk. We'll see as we go forward in our journey. But for now, I want you to get all of your paints together and your canvas, because in the next episode that I'm going to be recording, we are going to go into a bit of a semantic healing mode by playing with our paint on our canvas. Nothing serious yet, nothing crow-like, nothing on our reference material, except maybe the hint I can give you is all of these colors that's in the feathers. We're going to begin to play with the color and see what comes up for us, and it's going to be all done with our fingers. So if you maybe have a nice manicure like me, I will suggest some gloves for the next session. If you don't want to ruin your manicure, or you maybe have sensitive skin and you don't want to get into the paint with your fingers, bare fingers, then get some gloves, some latex gloves, something like that, just to protect your hands. But really, acrylic paint it just washes off with soap, so it shouldn't be the end of the world. But if you don't want to deal with that mess, then get yourself some gloves, because with our next session we are going to be playing with all of these beautiful colors in just a semantic healing kind of way, very expressive finger painting and getting the color on a canvas. And I like to call this a freedom layer. It's an expressive layer, and this is where we start to connect with the canvas and with the color frequencies, and we just bring in our own energy to the canvas. So that's what we are going to be doing next. So I'll see you guys in the next episode. Stay creative, stay tuned, and I'll see you again. Bye bye for now.